What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Real quick, before questions, we need to send a shout out and a thank you to Johnny Coker, who joined our Patreon at the Jedi Master level. Thank you so much, Johnny. You also sent a very, very nice email that we both enjoyed reading, so thank you for that as well.
For our first question, Eli HS and Patron Jake ask if Enfys Nest, the Cloud Riders, or young Leia could appear in Andor.
I was laughing with Molly earlier today where it's like every time we get closer and closer to another Star Wars project, it's always like a ton of questions come in of like, could we see this person or that person? And it's always fun to speculate. I wanted to bring up a little bit before we dive in. Tony Gilroy said in an interview, and he's been saying a lot of stuff, down to what the final scene of season 2 will be, which, if you've heard his comments before, is not a surprise, but I won't get into that. He's basically said something like there's no fan service in Andor, and I don't know what he means by that exactly. I do think it probably won't have as many cameos as
Luke's not gonna crash through a door somewhere,
right,
Kool-Aid Man style, and just start slaying people down with his lightsaber.
The Skywalkers are here, yeah, and he would be 14 at that point.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but. He says that, and I'm interpreting it as probably not as cameo heavy. No Black Chrysanthemum showing up, but also I'm like, there is going to be fan service. I mean, fans, including myself, got freaked out by the Imperial Senate appearing. Like, that is a level of fan service. So I don't know how exactly to interpret that. I'm curious to see what he has labeled as fan service in his mind.
Yeah, I mean, maybe to him fan service is like a negative thing, and he's saying that like, no, I'm not just throwing stuff in there for the sake of being able to say, look who it is, you know.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh man, he hasn't been this riled up in a while.
Hilo has thoughts.
Hold on now.
But I don't know the quote that you're talking, the fan service quote that you're talking about, but for these people, Enfys Nest, Cloud Riders, young Leia, I think Enfys Nest or the Cloud Riders are a definite possibility because she's involved with Saw Gerrera and like two tubes.
Right.
For instance, we see him go from the Cloud Riders to the Partisans.
Yep. I think that is a perfect example where I think that there are cameos. That's not even the right word, but there are characters you can include in this story that will feel exciting, that could be labeled as fan service, but they could also very much be part of the story and move the plot forward, talk about the themes and so on. And yeah, Enfys Nest to me is someone who I'm not thinking season 1, but an inclusion in season 2, a 3-episode arc of like going on an adventure with the Cloud Riders or something. And yeah, you bring up that she is involved with Saw Gerrera. There's a scene at the end of the Solo novelization where she delivers some of the coaxium to Saw. And yeah, you mentioned two tubes. So to me, I'm like, yeah, I think that Enfys has a chance. It's not something I'm expecting, but there's a chance.
Yeah. You mentioned the Solo novelization book. Sorry. Hilo is chewing on.
Hilo's just...
We have a million of these Lego things.
Hilo is in a mood today.
He is in a mood. Yeah, I don't know. I think if it fits in the story, great. Those are definitely ones like that would fit with the story. Young Leia, I don't think so.
Agreed.
I don't really know why. I mean, maybe if Bale's in it, but
I think Bale will be, and it's one of those things that yes, I can see how and why, but then it's like you'd have to recast her again because I don't think little 9-year-old Leia. I don't think they would use her for 5 years later.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that adds some unnecessary complications on the behind the scenes side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one thing that I did wish that we got more of in Obi-Wan was seeing what Bale and Brea Organa are doing as far as politics goes on the side of Alderaan. Like, and I would love to see Alderaan again. So
yeah.
I be down for that, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think that season 1, just from what we know about it, that it's largely, Cassian's story at least, is largely going to take place on Ferrix, this one planet. And yeah, Mon Mothma's going to be doing her thing in the Imperial Senate. Bail Organa's probably going to be there. But I'm basically saying I think season 1 is going to be more self-contained. Then when we get to season 2, like many Star Wars stories, it will open up a little more and start connecting with more familiar stuff. That's kind of my expectation.
Rohith Thumadi wants to know how Luke, Leia, Rey, Finn, and others were able to gain strength in the Force as adults if Ahsoka said Grogu's powers would fade over time.
I think that basically someone's abilities in the Force can fade, but that doesn't mean that they can't come back. It's just going to be more difficult. That's how I would understand it.
Yeah, and like part of this might be having to do with how long Grogu is probably going to live. But I think if Grogu's powers were to fade, yeah, they could come back. He would just have to train for it. So it's kind of like laying dormant.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, well, we always have the excuse for Luke and Leia, and I would say Rey as well. As much as I'm not like all in on the, lineage of a Force user, I do think that we can point to their families and be like, they probably have a leg up on that. But the way I look at it more in the real world is when I was taking improv lessons, one of my teachers said that learning improv is basically just learning to play pretend again. When you're a kid, it's so easy to use your imagination. You go outside and you're just making up games with your friends. And for some reason, that kind of just gets drilled out of you as you grow up. And then when you're an adult, and I was just taking these improv classes, I still struggle with a lot of that and kind of letting go of structure of things and just embracing the chaos a little bit. I see that a lot as kind of like the Force, where if you don't use your imagination, if you let your creative side kind of go away, then you can regain it, but it's not as easy as it was when you were a kid. And I think that, we see in the Clone Wars little babies floating balls around because that's how they are. Like, I think it's easier for children to accept some of these truths that before they're all just like beaten out of them.
Jaded. Jaded
before they become jaded, yes.
Jaded by life, just in general, yeah.
I feel like that was a very roundabout way to get there, but I tried.
Yeah, that is a good point. And I feel like you could compare it to just like a muscle. So like if you don't use a muscle for a certain amount of time, a long time, it will become weak and it will atrophy.
That's a way, way better way to say that.
Well, it doesn't really make sense for kids being super strong.
but as far as like fading away,
yeah,
like that makes so much more sense.
The ability to use the Force will atrophy over time. We see it in Obi-Wan. Like he, struggles at first because he's been so unbalanced and he hasn't been connected to the Force in a while. But he's trying to save Leia, and he's struggling, but he can do it.
But it's hard.
It's hard, but I can do it.
Please don't get up.
Don't worry, I can't.
Oh.
Just joking. I can get up.
Oh.
But it's difficult. But I can do it. But it is hard.
Yeah. I think the muscle analogy is way better. That if you work out, you get stronger. If you stop, then that strength goes away. It can come back, but it's a lot easier to hold on to it if you're actively using it. But that doesn't mean it's going to go away forever.
Yeah, really just any skill-based thing. Juggling.
I'm still great at juggling. I haven't juggled in years. I bet I could still do it.
But
no problem.
Let's see, but you would be better at it if you juggled every day.
That's true.
I want to give you something to juggle now.
I was just thinking... See, great, flawless.
I stand corrected.
I did not panic at all.
Audrey asks what we're most looking forward to in Phase 2 of the High Republic.
I'm just excited for it to start. I do have like a story that I'm looking forward to most, but I just want to say that I've missed it. I have missed. It hasn't even been, what, 6 months or so since we got our last. I think it ended in early March. And I have missed the High Republic quite a bit, not having like that monthly comic at the very least, and then often a book. I'm excited for it to come back in October. Like, I am as excited for the High Republic to return as I am for Andor, I think.
Yeah. Just every time we get to see a new era of Star Wars, it's exciting because it's brand new. You know, some of the characters will be familiar. We'll get to see the Blade of Bardata in his prime, which is exciting. But for me, I think it's like the prospecting side for the Jedi of like just being able to go out on these grand adventures to places they don't know, you know, what it's like, and just see them explore a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that I was someone when they first said we're going backwards another 150 years. I was like, oh man, because I was just so invested in the characters we met. But it is interesting to kind of ease us into a more and more different view of the galaxy, where Phase 1 was a little different, but still very Star Wars, and it had a bunch of the same technology. Hyperspace is basically the same. Now in Phase 2, it's going to be a little bit different, and that hyperspace technology is not exactly the same, and it is going to be more of a wild, wild west frontier, what's going on story. So that's an interesting and exciting prospect.
Yeah, and it's interesting and fun to compare the Jedi and how they connect to the Force between the High Republic and the prequels. So being able to then compare High Republic to a little earlier than that.
Yeah.
To see, you know, are the Jedi going to be able to connect to the Force even more so and any differently?
The story I am most excited about is the Blade of Bardata. I love Porter Engle, and there's definitely in Phase 1 little hints that, like, there's a story here, and I want to know what it is.
Mm-hmm. The Jeddah stuff looks...
Oh yeah, the Battle of Jeddah.
The Battle of Jeddah looks very promising. Is that going to be an audio drama?
Yes.
I love a good audio drama.
Yeah. That we're kind of like flipped on that. Like, I much prefer a book, but this time I think they're releasing the book version, the script, much closer to when the audio drama comes out. So that'll help me a lot. I just retain the information a lot better if I can read it. But yeah, seeing Jeddah in its prime is also going to be very cool.
Yeah. Rainman MP wants to know what happens when Darth Vader has to sneeze.
So in the question, he proposes that he would want to take his helmet off, like a clone trooper, if they have to sneeze, can just be like, "Phew," and that's it. But Darth Vader can't do that. So I'm gonna assume that he uses the Force to suppress any sneezes.
I think he sneezes, but like maybe a part of his butt. The butt part of his suit like shoots out or something.
What?
Like it just like messes with the pressure and like something pops off. Or he's got like a little blowhole at the top maybe, and you just like see it come out the top.
If he sneezes, the top of his helmet goes pew.
Yeah.
Just launches off.
I don't know. I just thought if you sneeze up here, something's got to go.
The extra air. It's like I don't know why you went straight for the butt, but
I don't either.
Or he just sneezes and it goes all over his visor, and he panics and he's talking to General Veers and he's like, "Please no, not now, not now," and just like.
Yeah, and then he presses a button on his chest and little windshield wipers turn on.
Yeah. It's one of those questions where it's like, we're never gonna know. But it is interesting to think about those human things that superhuman people go through.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I can suppress a sneeze pretty well to the point where, like, I don't expel any, like, moisture. I don't know.
What do you think it sounds like when Darth Vader sneezes? Like, because it's going to be all like, bah, ah, blah, like.
No, I think he has a little.
He hates sneezing in front of people because it makes him look it's the opposite image he's trying to convey.
Yeah.
Today's video is sponsored by Factor. Eating healthy can be expensive and time-consuming, but Factor supports wholesome eating made simple. Meal plans offer variety with a rotating weekly menu of 25-plus meal options and add-ons. Choose your favorite meals or let Factor craft your order based on your taste preferences and meal history. Stick to a variety of diets, including keto, calorie-smart, vegan, vegetarian, and more. Save time by cutting out meal planning and prep because Factor meals arrive pre-prepared and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Our schedule is always busy, frantic, and unpredictable, so we've been using HelloFresh for over a year now. HelloFresh now owns Factor, and they continue to help us cut out time spent at the grocery store by offering quick and tasty dinner solutions after a long stream. We tried a variety of meals like roasted garlic braised beef, bruschetta shrimp risotto, and ranch baked pork chops. They were ready in minutes and tasted great fresh out of the oven or microwave. Factor is offering a special deal to our viewers to save money off their first order. Head to go.factor75.com/SWExplained130 and use code SWExplained130 to get $130 off across 6 boxes. And now, back to questions.
On to YouTube questions. The Burger Hut 7 asks how we would feel if Rey changed her order from the Jedi to the Skywalkers.
That was a popular theory when we were getting to the Rise of Skywalker that might happen. Since it didn't happen, I'm gonna guess that that's not something they're gonna follow through with. Like, at the time, I was on board with the idea, but now it sounds like, oh, and especially moving into like the Lego specials, they still refer to themselves as Jedi. I think that that's what they're going to keep.
Yeah, I don't think Rey is going to change the name of the game. Like, yeah. Jedi is a name that kind of has to stick around, I think.
I think so too. At the time, I was into the theory. I would have been fine if they did it, but with 3 years almost beyond the movie, I am glad that they didn't. Like, Jedi still means something and should. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those, like, if it happened 3 years ago, I think I would have been okay with it, but I'm glad. I think they made the right choice not to.
Mm-hmm. Also, I just feel like Daisy Ridley would say no to that, because imagine the backlash.
Yeah.
Rey changed the name of the Jedi.
Like, what, I guess it feels like a very final thing almost. Like, it would be the end of the Jedi, not in name, or in name only. Like, the organization would still go on, but like, so much of Star Wars is about what it means to be a Jedi, and it would be weird for that to be moving forward in the timeline and there's just no Jedi anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was the right choice not to go that way.
Ma Davis wants to know if it's okay to have headcanon even if it contradicts official canon.
I say yes.
There are no rules, really, when it comes to storytelling and what you think about your favorite fandoms. Mm-hmm. So I think absolutely it's okay to have headcanon.
Yeah, I think that where it becomes like a little iffy is if you have your headcanon and you try to impose it on other people. Like, every single fan should get to decide how to enjoy their fandom best and what makes them happy. But you can't dictate that for someone else.
Right. Yeah, and also, like, don't set yourself up for disappointment. So if something you think is headcanon and that gets changed down the line, you can either choose to still, like, ignore that and still go with your headcanon, or, just don't be mad if something changes officially if it's, like, not what you had in mind. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, like, I have no problem if someone just does not like the sequel trilogy and in their own heads, they're like, I'm going to ignore those movies. Like, they don't make me happy for whatever reason. But it's when people are just going after other fans, like, you're not a true fan if you like the sequels, and like going into comment threads and just being like, the sequels aren't canon. It's like, that's fine for you, but I mean, they officially are canon. There's nothing you can do to change that. So, like, keep your headcanon.
No amount of petitioning.
Yeah.
It's gonna change.
That's where it crosses the line. I mean, like, in my headcanon, I think I kind of have the X-Wing books as like, yeah, those happened. And
sure.
I don't really think they did, but I like to consider it But I'm not going to pretend that that's true. I'm not going to all of a sudden put the X-Wing books into the canon timeline just because I like them so much.
Yeah. What's your favorite piece of headcanon that you have?
The X-Wing books are good. It's really just stories that I really, really like. Darth Bane trilogy is another one that for now I'm just going to be like, yeah, the Darth Bane trilogy happened in my head, and it probably didn't, but I don't care.
Yeah. I think for me it's Din and Cobb Vanth. I'm shipping them.
Yeah.
Forever and ever.
Well, I don't like that ship because I ship myself with Cobb Vanth.
Well,
so I hate
you
this.
have to share him.
No, I refuse. We're gonna talk about this.
I'm okay
after.
with this because the closer I can get to Grogu, the better. I don't
If
care
they're
how it
distracted
happens.
with each other, you can kidnap Grogu.
I will be the fun aunt that takes him off on fun trips.
Okay. Well, your headcanon diminishes my headcanon
Uh-oh.
and my own ship, so
Oh, boy.
we're about to fight.
Jack Henrique asks how important it is to read the books chronologically.
I would say it's not important at all.
No.
I mean, they don't come out chronologically, so...
Yeah. And like, I don't know, you might drive yourself a little crazy trying to keep everything chronological, especially if you're pulling in comics and other types of media. But yeah, just that seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, Star Wars has never ever come out chronologically. The movies didn't, the Clone Wars didn't, the books don't, the comics don't. Like, it's always just kind of everywhere in the universe.
Although
So,
I'm wondering if they mean like for specific like books and their sequels, like the
for sure.
the Thrawn books, for instance.
I mean,
Those are kind of all over the place, though.
yeah, even that, I would say, obviously, Thrawn Alliances, Thrawn Treason, like anything that is in a trilogy. It would make no sense to read Victory's Price before Alphabet Squadron. So, yeah, there's that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But chronological experiencing of Star Wars is a fun experiment, but it's not important. Like, I mean, I prefer watching the Clone Wars chronologically, but I prefer watching the movies as release.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's different for everyone, but I would not say, like, you have to read the books chronologically or you're not going to get everything out of them.
Yeah. Because what happens when a new book comes out? You got to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the High Republic... Okay, I will say that I have my books organized chronologically, and that is a nightmare. I mean, I'm about to have
They're
to
all
move...
different heights and sizes and...
And I'm about to have to move everything because of the High Republic Phase 2. Everything has to shift now.
Yeah,
So, honestly, I should just organize them by release date and save myself the headache, but...
it's true. And if I need to come in here for a book, then I just mess it all
You
up.
mess everything up.
I don't need that stress in my life. NC Lego Boy wants to know our thoughts on Darth Vader's eyebrows.
It's one of the least consistent things in Star Wars, I think. I believe in Obi-Wan Kenobi, no eyebrows. Star Wars Rebels, eyebrows. Return of the Jedi, sometimes eyebrows, sometimes not. Depends on the edition you're watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. He just looks like Humpty Dumpty in that for me.
Yeah, because they took his eyebrows away.
Oh.
In the original cut, he had eyebrows.
I need to see this now.
But then they added them back in Star Wars Rebels. So what's going on? Does he shave his eyebrows?
It's hard because eyebrows are pretty essential to a person's face. Like if you look at pictures of people with their eyebrows photoshopped out of the picture, it's very bizarre. And they're used for expression all the time. So I didn't think I had any like hard opinions on Vader's eyebrows, but I kind of feel like if he can't have hair, he shouldn't have eyebrows.
Well, that was the implication when they took them out in Return of the Jedi. I do think in Star Wars Rebels they gave him eyebrows for expression only. Because you can just see like his eye, like this little bit, and he's looking at Ahsoka, and they do a lot with his eyes in that scene. Ahsoka kind of offers him a little chance to stop, and his eyes like dart around as if he is thinking about it, and then they get really angry, and the eyebrows are part of that. So I think that's the only reason they put eyebrows in that shot. I'm sure they had a big debate about it, but it's more about conveying the emotion of the scene than whether or not Vader has eyebrows. So maybe he was just trying something new that day and he drew them on or something.
I mean, I do it almost every day.
Right.
So
maybe it's just sometimes Vader, when he's getting ready in the morning, he paints on his eyebrows.
Yeah. Just a little me time for Vader getting ready in the morning. And like you said, for animation, I think it is especially important to be able to have things like eyebrows to convey a specific kind of emotion. I had this theory that like specifically fire from Mustafar would burn your hair off so bad that like the follicles are dead and you cannot grow anything back after that. So
that does seem to be the case. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.